Hey, what's up guys? Slikk or Slickmuff here, back again with another video. Today I want to talk about something that I've been thinking about recently. Mainly in the past few weeks or so. I've sort of been thinking about what would I do if I could direct a Batman film? I could do whatever I want with it. What would I do? What would be the things mainly that I change, right? Because so much has been done with Batman. So many different films spanning from, the mid-60s, television, media, movies, etc. So much has been done with the character since his creation, and I wanted to think about what I would do differently, what I would change. Obviously, I love the character of Batman, and there's a few things that I would maybe tweak a little bit. And before I get into this video, I just have to address, I realize I'm committing a massive sin right now. I'm wearing a UNC shirt with a Duke Blue hat. I apologize, I couldn't find my other hats. But anyway, let's get into this video. So 5 things that I would change about Batman lore, mainly Batman's background and sort of the character relationships that Bruce Wayne and Batman has with other characters. So the first thing that I would change is I would make Batman, Bruce Wayne actually, younger when Thomas and Martha die in Crime Alley, and I would also change the way in which the events happen of Joe Chill shooting Thomas and Martha, and I would mainly change, I would have Bruce Wayne actually get shot too. So first of all, this would never happen in a PG-13 film, but I would just make this scene so gruesome. Thomas and Martha get shot in the head, right, or one of them does, or whatever, and Bruce gets shot in, the leg, and he's, crawling around, screaming and crying for help, and he's, 6, right, so usually he's, 8 or 9 when he gets shot, or when his parents die. I would make him younger, 6, so he's, a kindergartner, dude, and he's, shot, and Joe Chill shot his ass, and he's, collecting the pearls of Martha's necklace right next to him, and his dad is just dead. I mean, just shot right between the eyes, and he's just crawling, screaming for dear life, bleeding out on the floor, just crawling over his parents, trying to wake him up. I mean, I would just make it so gruesome. Once again, there's a reason I have not been asked to direct a movie, and nobody cares about my opinion, and I'm just a measly YouTuber giving my thoughts on it. And like I said, this would never happen in a film, but if you're just asking me what I would change, I would have Bruce Wayne actually get shot, and I think that this would have a profound effect on Bruce Wayne, namely, and anybody it would. You realize how sort of evil or cruel people are, and he almost died, and his parents did die over a pearl necklace and some money, which is just kind of asinine to think about. And I think that it would, once again, have a really profound effect on Bruce Wayne to realize how sort of cold and shallow the world is, and to have him be injured at such a young age and almost killed as well. I just think it would make the scene a little bit more powerful and be really shocking to the audience and to us, and really sort of just shake up the dynamic of that scene that we've seen pretty much the same for 75 years. So the next thing that I would do is change the Alfred and Bruce Wayne relationship. And this sort of actually coincides with the fact that I would have Bruce Wayne get shot when he's 6 years old and his parents die. So because he's only 6 years old, I mean, he really doesn't have all that many memories of his dad. Of course, he was 6, so he's not like an infant. But at the same point, he probably isn't going to remember a ton about his father and his mother. So in that way, Alfred would be like his adopted dad, which he is in the comics and in the current continuity, but I would make him much less independent, and I would make Alfred much more like a father figure, like an actual dad. So I'm thinking, Bruce Wayne going off to kindergarten, again, he's 6 years old, saying I love you, Alfred, that kind of thing. And it seems kind of corny. I think it would actually really, really be impactful as a flashback kind of moment to see that Alfred is not a butler. And by that, I mean, cut out the BS of oh, Master Wayne. I hate that crap. I really, really hate it. It's one of my least favorite things of all of Batman lore, and it's the number one thing I would change. Honestly, the number one thing on this list is I would make Alfred and Bruce more like friends and acquaintances as they grow older. Not acquaintances, friends. And I would make, once again, when Bruce Wayne is younger, much more of the father-son relationship, amplified way more than it is in the comics and films. And once again, I would make, obviously, usually when kids turn over 18, they become adults, they become really good friends with their dads, and I would make that the case here too. So there, none of that Master Wayne crap, like I said, and he's kind of still like his dad. He, in the comics, once again, Alfred will basically, bitch Bruce Wayne out, but it's kind of from the perspective of an employee of him. You know what I mean? I would totally eliminate that. And again, he's just like his adopted dad. I mean, there's just no question about it. And I think that would really make their relationship a lot more powerful. But that's just my personal thoughts on what I would change with the Alfred and Bruce Wayne dynamic. The next thing I would do is I would make Jim Gordon and Bruce Wayne a little closer. And by that, what I would mainly do is make Bruce Wayne and Jim Gordon on a first-name basis with one another. So obviously Bruce Wayne knows Jim Gordon is Jim Gordon, but I would make Jim Gordon know that Batman is Bruce Wayne. And they would be kind of much more closer friends. And they would be, you know, maybe they knew each other when they were younger or something. Jim Gordon is older than Bruce Wayne. But I would still have some sort of relationship there, like some predetermined relationship that they had. Or at least they've just been friends for like 15 years, like really close friends, you know. I don't think Bruce Wayne's the type to like hang out with people on the weekends, but if he were to do that type of thing, he would do it with Jim Gordon. So they know each other on a first name basis, they're much closer. I think this also really strengthens the relationship or sort of the conflict between the fact that Bruce Wayne has Barbara Gordon working under him as Batgirl and Jim Gordon doesn't know it. And it's not just like, you know, Jim Gordon knows Batman and he meets with him, you know, once every other week on a rooftop. No, they're like really close friends, and he feels even more betrayed than he does in the comics by the fact that he went behind his back and has Barbara Gordon working under him without his approval. So I think that it would really strengthen that conflict, and that's one of the reasons that I would change that sort of dynamic in entirety. Basically, I would change the entire dynamic and make them much closer, much more friendly with one another, and much more honest and open with one another as well. And they coincide and work together much more than they do in the comics now. That's one thing I would change. The fourth thing that I would change, I have this labeled on my notes: make Batman a hero again. Now, Batman already is a hero. I mean, no doubt about it. He fights crime, he saves people, etc. I would personally amplify the amount that he saves people. So when you see Superman in the comics, like every issue, he's saving somebody, right? Just save people 24/7. That's all he does. Train going off rails, he saves it. You know, he fights people to save people, etc. Batman airs a little bit more with the Punisher side of things, where he's like more on the offensive, which I like. I like that aspect. I'm not saying Bruce Wayne is not going to go out and beat criminals up every night, but I would love to see him saving people a little bit more. Once again, it's not that it doesn't happen, but it doesn't happen quite as much for a character like Superman. I would bring it closer to that. So basically, sort of have him save people more. More in these situations of like saving hostages or that sort of thing. And once again, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. You can cite so many instances where it does. Batman is a hero. I'm not saying that he's not. I would just get it a lot more closer to I mean, Superman is just like the poster child superhero, right? He just saves people 24/7. Like, it's nothing, right? Once again, I don't want Batman to be Superman, but I would get him closer to that sort of ideal of like saving people more often and have that be a little bit more of an objective than just beating people up, which of course is a very good preventative method to stop crime. But I would have him actually save people even more than he does now. So that's just one thing I would change. And sort of coinciding with that, number 5, I would make him a little bit less pessimistic, and beaten. Of course, Bruce Wayne's still going to be grumpy. He's Bruce Wayne. He's just kind of a grouch. A very lovable grouch, but one nonetheless. I would increase the amount of charity that he gives, and I would also really, really shift his outlook, sort of as somebody being a little bit more optimistic than he is, right? Obviously, towards the end of his career, Batman v Superman era, Dark Knight Returns in the comics, he becomes more beaten. And that's okay. I understand that. But I think that, once again, coinciding with my view of how Bruce Wayne should be a hero, you know, a full-blown hero as much as he can be, I would really change that. I would make him much more optimistic and, you know, giving loads of money to charity. And he, of course, becomes frustrated that he gives all this money and Gotham is still kind of a shithole, right? But at the same point, I don't think him sort of like, you know, meandering around Wayne Manor as he's sometimes portrayed in some forms, not all, once again. So I'm sort of nitpicking specific interpretations of the character where that may not be sort of the totality of what represents Bruce Wayne or Batman, but that's one thing I would change. So kind of in summary, that's all 5 of my points. I would have Bruce Wayne be younger when he dies. I would have him also get shot in Crime Alley. I would make Alfred and Jim Gordon closer to Bruce Wayne, much closer of a relationship together. And I would try to make Bruce Wayne more of like a hero than a vigilante. So, kind of straying away from the Batman v Superman line, we're criminals, Alfred. We've always been criminals. I want to sort of change that and have Jim Gordon and Bruce Wayne working very much so together where, I mean, technically he's a criminal, but GCPD doesn't really consider him as such, right? So he's not just like, GCPD isn't trying to kill him, right? And like they are in Batman v Superman, trying to shoot him, right? It's nothing like that. They're much closer, and once again, some interpretations of that character of Bruce Wayne are like that, some are not. I would sort of eliminate those that are not like that. I would make, Bruce Wayne much more of kind of like a hero along with Jim Gordon. Like, everybody looks up to him and thinks he's awesome, rather than having this like split opinion of like, oh, the Bat Vigilante is ruining Gotham, blah, 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 right? So that's just kind of my 2 cents on what I would change, or I guess 5 cents of things that I would change from Batman's lore. Again, these are not things that I like dislike. The only thing I really hate on here is I freaking hate the, Master Wayne. Oh, like, it's like they're not even friends, which is just totally nonsense. This is his adopted father since he was 8 years old, and he's going to call him Master Wayne. I mean, that's just stupid. It's just nonsense. And I've always hated that. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you would change about Batman and his lore in the comments section below. My name is Slikk, and I'll see you guys in the next video.